the Business Finance Podcast, brought to you by the Best Finance Group. New episodes every Friday. Hello and welcome to the Business Finance Podcast. He's Jack Seymour.
He's Phil Murphy.
Hi there. Well, welcome. And firstly, we're going to just quickly run through what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to buy a business and some of the main things that you should look for, some warning signs perhaps, and some opportunities as well. So we're going to dive straight into it today, and we're going to start off with Jack. Why buy a business?
Yes, that's probably the most common question we get asked. The reason why people buy a business is because they can buy an established customer base.
Yep.
So there's already a trading entity there. There's got some confirmed revenue and some profits as well, hopefully, all being well. And it's one of the quickest ways a business can grow, because you can either organically grow, which is like a long, slow, windy road, but will get you to your destination.
Yeah.
Or you can grow by acquisition, which is straight over the mountain on a motorbike. So the nice quick way to success. So that's why larger corporations commonly will acquire smaller ones, because they know that they can grow market share, and it's one of the quickest ways of business growth as well. Yeah,
well, you get to find with the business owners that we speak to, a lot of the time they may have taken sort of 5-10 years to get to a certain point, but actually by making an acquisition, they can double their revenue, and you say perhaps get some key clients in with key contracts that they perhaps wouldn't have had the opportunity to get. So that's why buy a business. That's a common reason why people buy a business. So what do we look for? What's some of the key highlights of why we would look at when someone comes to us and says we're looking to buy a business? What's some of the things that they should be targeting and thinking about?
So at the start, we ask for the reason for sale. Most common is retirement, but it can be a whole host of reasons, because when we know that and we've got clear understanding, that will set up the parameters for everything else. So we ask, why is the business being sold? Number two, then we'll do some financial due diligence, very high level, and we'll look at their things like accounts, debtors, creditors,
assets.
Absolutely, and the assets as well. So we can look at what the business owns, how it's financially been performing in the past, and then do a financial model for clients, so what the business will look like in the future through a cash flow forecast, most commonly, because then we can integrate the cost of funds, so the money that they're borrowing, into what they want to achieve over the next 12, 24 months.
Okay, and some of the things that we look for, owner dependency, customer base. So these are some of the things.
Yeah, so other highlighting factors are, as you rightfully said, is how owner manages a business. People love this term, but all that essentially means is how prevalent that owner is in the business on a day-to-day. If you were to take the owner out of the business, would the business continue to run?
Yeah.
Can they be replaced? All these factors, as well as you rightfully said, their customer base, making sure it's not too concentrated on key customers, because that is a risk. If you were selling coffee mugs and all your coffee mugs were being sold to Asda, and something that happened to Asda, then Houston, you've got a problem. Yeah. So you want a nice spread customer base, ideally with some track record and areas for growth as well, because that's sometimes overlooked. Because why are you buying the business? Hopefully, you're buying it to grow it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's great. Right, so thanks for that, Jack. Next one is the big one, and that's typically where we come in, and that's funding the acquisition. So people will be wondering, well, how am I going to fund this? I haven't got perhaps enough money to buy a business outright. So what are the options, and how do you, the Best Finance Group, help us to understand our options, and how do you put a deal structure together?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll look at if the buyer wants to put in their own funds and how much they want to put in, if any at all. And then commonly we'll use a thing called ABL lending, asset-backed lending. And that is what the business owns. We'll look at the company's balance sheet and look at the profits to ensure, does the funding that we're going to put into the business, can the business afford to repay that funding, and has it got the profits? So we could look at asset finance, looking at stuff, it was construction business, for example, looking at the plant and machinery, vans, trucks, trailers, what else, what other bits they've got. We can look at any commercial property and the percentage of the value of what they own on that. We could look at a traditional bank loan. So we'll look at a multiplier of their net profit value. And then we can finally look at their debtor book as well.
Yeah.
So if they're owed any outstanding invoices, would invoice finance be applicable as well? So we'll pull this funding package together for them to have their end result of, will this give you enough financial stability to A, acquire the business, and B, do what you want to do as the new business owner with it?
That was very well explained. And also from your existing business, you might be able to release some money from your existing business. So we'll do the same process with your own business, because you might have assets that you can refinance, or you may be able to leverage your own debtor book. So we'll look at the overall picture of both businesses to make the purchase.
Absolutely, yeah. In that luxurious position, if you are a business owner out there already and you are looking to make a further acquisition, as Phil, as you rightfully said, we can look at both options, can't we? So we can look at their trading company as well as a target company.
Right. So should we just do the top tips then for buying a business? Should we just do that? Yeah.
Top tips
Come
for buying
on,
a
let's
business.
go. Where should we start?
So some real top tips for buying a business would be ensuring you've got a really good deal team around you.
Yeah.
So this can be an accountant, both if you currently have a trading company, do they have the necessary skill set for acquisitions? If not, you can get a specialist accountant who does do this on a day-to-day basis.
Well, actually, so you cut in there, but we're helping someone at the moment, and we've given them 3 accountants that specialise in acquisitions and understand the tax implications or benefits of doing it in certain ways. So that's one thing that we do, is bring in our deal team.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely, yeah. So having that deal team, having that accountant. Secondly, I'd say a lawyer, ensuring that, again, the lawyer has a skill set in M&A, in mergers and acquisitions in the business world, and who can support and try to get some costings as well from them. And they will ask, as part of their offering, do you want to do light, medium or heavy due diligence? And that would affect the pricing.
Right.
And there's a temptation to go for the light, the cheapest option, but that might be costly in the long run.
Yeah.
So that is the buyer's preference, but one bit of guidance there, give that plenty of thought when coming down to that. Finally, having someone like ourselves, the Best Finance Group, who specialises in mergers and acquisitions, who can support with that and ultimately bring that funding package together so they can acquire the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some really good points there. Have you got any that you're working on at the moment? Have you got any nice ones? I know we've got quite a few MBOs that we're working on together.
MBOs are really prevalent at the moment.
Yeah.
If we touch on Dave, if you're watching, hello. So they run a very successful marketing and branding agency, and there's 2 directors, and one is looking to acquire the other. And they simply came to us after watching one of these podcasts. How do I fund this MBO, and how does the transaction work? So we're in the very early stages of that, but we detailed that they do need a business valuation. So that's what we've done.
Yeah.
We've put them in touch with 3 independent accountants who can value their business, and then the conversations can happen of how they agree a price on from there.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you updated on that one, because as I say, that we're starting out in a fresh. So
Yes.
That's in progress. So there's some tips for you, and it is a good time to buy a business. There are a lot of people. It's quite commonly known there's a lot of people retiring.
Yeah.
The boomer generation are retiring. Sometimes the kids don't want to take over a business that's in a greasy factory or whatever it might be, but they're very, very profitable businesses. So there is an opportunity to pick up some businesses at a good price out there. And it's just knowing how to structure the deal. You might think you're years away from an acquisition, but actually you're not. Let us help you look at the opportunity, and we will help you decide if that's right.
If it's right, exactly. It's not always right, but have the conversation, because hopefully then you'll understand and take something away from it of, if nothing else, I've learned something and I know what the options are and how it works.
Yeah. So you look at things like your competitors, look at people within your supply chain, just people within your network, ask your accountants, perhaps if they know of anyone that's looking to retire and looking to sell up, and then just come to us and we'll help you understand if it's a deal that you could potentially afford to do, and if it's doable.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, I think that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and share the videos. And if you do need any help with any form of commercial finance, whether it's acquisitions, loans, invoice finance, asset finance, just give us a call. One of us will run through the options with you and take it from there. So thanks very much. See you on the next one. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us. If you have any commercial finance requirements, please contact us at thebestgroup.co.uk.